Lewis Hamilton, from nothing to everything. Hello, my amazing friends. Today, I have something truly special for you. Listen carefully because this story will change the way you think about dreams, determination, and destiny. He is the greatest Formula One driver of all time. He broke every barrier, shattered every record, and rewrote history in a sport that never wanted him there. You must have heard about Formula One, the fastest, most dangerous, most expensive sport in the world. A sport for the rich, the privileged, the elite. But one boy from a council estate in Stevenage, England, dared to dream the impossible. His skin was the wrong color. His family had no money. His background screamed, "You don't belong here." Yet he became Sir Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton, 7-time world champion, the most successful black athlete in motorsport history, a global icon who changed racing forever. His influence is so great that Formula One itself would not be the same without him. The diversity, the conversations about equality, the doors opened for young racers from every background, all of this came from his courage, his speed, and his refusal to give up. But how did he become Lewis Hamilton, the boy with nothing who conquered everything? He was not born into wealth. He did not have sponsors waiting at his door. He did not have the privilege that every other driver took for granted. Yet he became the most decorated driver in Formula One history. So if you have a dream today, if you feel like the odds are against you, if you wonder whether someone like you can make it to the top, this story is for you. Because Lewis Hamilton himself started as an ordinary boy, just like anyone else. The difference? He refused to accept limits. This is a story of struggle, sacrifice, and unstoppable will. So sit back, listen carefully, and enjoy. This will not only inspire you, but also show you that no dream is too big when you have the heart of a champion. The beginning. A boy with a dream. It was a cold January day in the year 1985 in Stevenage, a working-class town north of London. A baby boy was born to Anthony Hamilton and Carmen Larbellis-Kay. His parents held him close, looking at his tiny face, never knowing that their son would one day become a legend. His name was Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton. Stevenage was not a glamorous place. It was a town of council estates, regular working people, and simple dreams. There were no racing circuits, no fancy cars, no wealthy families grooming their children for motorsport glory. People worked hard just to get by. Anthony Hamilton was a British man of Grenadian descent who worked multiple jobs to support his family. His mother, Carmen, was a white British woman who loved her son deeply. But when Lewis was just 2 years old, his parents separated. It was painful, it was difficult, and young Lewis found himself moving between two homes, two worlds, two different lives. His mother mismarried, and Lewis gained half-sisters. His father also mismarried, giving Lewis a stepmother named Linda and a younger brother named Nicholas. Life was complicated, money was tight, but Anthony Hamilton made a promise to himself. No matter what it took, he would give his son every opportunity to chase his dreams. Lewis was different from other children. He was quiet, observant, and incredibly focused. While other kids played football or video games, Lewis was drawn to something else: speed. He loved watching cars. He loved the sound of engines. He loved the idea of going faster than anyone else. At the age of 5, Lewis's father bought him a remote control car. It wasn't expensive, it was a simple toy, but Lewis's eyes lit up like fireworks. He spent hours playing with that car, racing it around the house, learning how to control it, how to make it go faster, how to navigate tight corners. Anthony watched his son. He saw something special. He saw passion. He saw focus. He saw a fire that couldn't be extinguished. And then he made a decision that would change both their lives forever. In 1991, when Lewis was just 6 years old, Anthony took him to a local karting track. Karting is where racing begins. Tiny go-karts, small engines, young children learning the basics of speed and control. It's also expensive. It's a sport for families with money to burn. But Anthony didn't care about the cost. He just wanted to see if his son had what it took. Lewis climbed into the cart. His feet barely reached the pedals. The helmet was too big for his head. But the moment the engine roared to life, something awakened inside him. He pressed the accelerator and the cart shot forward. The wind hit his face, the track blurred around him, and in that moment, 6-year-old Lewis Hamilton knew exactly what he wanted to do for the rest of his life. He wanted to race. The struggle. No money, no support, only determination. After that first day at the karting track, Lewis was obsessed. He begged his father to let him race again. He talked about it at school. He dreamed about it at night. Racing wasn't just a hobby for Lewis. It was everything. But there was one massive problem: money. Karting is not a cheap sport. The karts cost thousands of pounds. The maintenance, the fuel, the tires, the entry fees for races, it all added up, and the Hamilton family didn't have that kind of money. Anthony was working as an IT contractor, but he was also supporting 2 households, paying child support, and trying to keep everyone afloat. Most fathers would have said, "Sorry, son, we can't afford it." Most families would have given up, but Anthony Hamilton was not most fathers. He looked at his son's eyes, saw the hunger, the passion, the dream, and made a decision that would cost him everything. He took on extra jobs. He worked as a contractor during the day and put up signs for estate agents at night. He worked weekends. He worked holidays. He barely slept. Every penny he earned went into Lewis's racing. Every sacrifice was for his son's dream. Anthony would drive Lewis to tracks all over England, sometimes hours away, after working a full day. He would sleep in the van at the circuit to save money on hotels. He would eat cheap food, wear old clothes, and push his body to the limit. And Lewis won. Again and again and again. By the age of 8, Lewis Hamilton was dominating British karting. He wasn't just good, he was exceptional. He had a natural feel for racing, an instinct that couldn't be taught. He could read the track, anticipate his opponents, and find speed where others saw none. But even as he won races, Lewis faced something his competitors never did: racism. He was often the only black child at the track. Other parents would stare, some would make comments, some would say he didn't belong. Lewis would hear the whispers, see the looks, feel the exclusion. There were times when other kids refused to play with him, times when he felt completely alone. It hurt, it was painful, but instead of breaking him, it made him stronger. Lewis learned to let his driving do the talking. Every time someone doubted him, he drove faster. Every time someone said he didn't belong, he won another race. His father told him, "You have to be twice as good to get half the recognition, so be 10 times better." And Lewis took that to heart. The dream meeting. A boy meets a legend. In 1995, something extraordinary happened. Lewis was 10 years old and had just won the British Cadet Karting Championship. He was invited to a prestigious awards ceremony, the Autosport Awards, where the biggest names in motorsport gathered. Lewis wore a borrowed suit that was too big for him. He sat at a table with his father, surrounded by wealthy families, expensive watches, and conversations about private jets and sponsors. He felt out of place. He felt small. But then, during the evening, he saw him. Ron Dennis, the legendary boss of McLaren Racing, one of the most successful teams in Formula One history. McLaren was a giant. They had won world championships. They had the best cars, the best drivers, the best everything. Young Lewis, with all the courage a 10-year-old could muster, walked up to Ron Dennis. His heart was pounding, his hands were shaking, but he looked Ron Dennis in the eye and said, "Hi, I'm Lewis Hamilton. I won the British Championship. One day, I want to race for McLaren." Ron Dennis looked down at this small boy with big dreams and smiled. He probably heard this kind of thing all the time, but something about Lewis's confidence, his determination, his hunger caught his attention. "Okay," Ron Dennis said, "come find me in about 9 years and we'll sort something out." Most people would have taken that as a polite brush-off. Most kids would have forgotten about it, but Lewis didn't. He went back to his father and said, "Dad, I just told Ron Dennis I'm going to race for McLaren." Anthony smiled. "Then we'd better keep winning." And they did. But before he left that evening, Lewis did something that would become famous. He approached Ron Dennis again and asked for his autograph. In Ron Dennis's autograph book, Lewis wrote, "Lewis Hamilton, 1995. I won the British Championship. One day I want to race for you." That piece of paper still exists, and it serves as proof that dreams, when spoken into existence, have a way of coming true. The rise, from karts to Formula One. From age 10 to 13, Lewis Hamilton was unstoppable. He won championship after championship in karting. His trophy cabinet was overflowing. His name was becoming known in British motorsport circles. But there was still one massive problem: money. To move up from karting to car racing, Lewis needed sponsorship. He needed hundreds of thousands of pounds, and no one was offering. Teams looked at his background, council estate, working-class family, black kid, and they weren't interested. Anthony Hamilton kept working, he kept sacrificing, he kept believing, but even he was reaching his limit. The costs were becoming impossible. And then, in 1998, the phone rang. It was Ron Dennis. He remembered Lewis. He remembered that confident 10-year-old, and McLaren had been watching Lewis race. They saw his talent, they saw his hunger, and they made a decision that shocked the racing world. They offered 13-year-old Lewis Hamilton a place in the McLaren driver development program. This had never happened before. A 13-year-old signed to a Formula One team, but Ron Dennis saw something special. He saw a future champion. The contract was simple. McLaren would fund Lewis's racing career. In return, Lewis would one day race for them in Formula One. When Anthony Hamilton heard the news, he cried. Years of sacrifice, years of working 3 jobs, years of sleeping in vans and eating cheap food. It had all been worth it. Lewis was going to make it. From age 1998 to 2006, Lewis climbed the racing ladder. He competed in Formula Renault, where he dominated and won the championship. He moved to Formula 3, where he again dominated and won the championship. He joined GP2, the final step before Formula 1, and once again he won the championship. Every level, every series, every competition, Lewis Hamilton won. But even as he won races, the racism continued. People questioned whether he was only in racing because of diversity quotas. People said he was lucky. People said he didn't deserve his success. Lewis stayed silent. He let his results speak, and his results were screaming. By 2006, McLaren knew it was time. Lewis Hamilton was ready for Formula One. Formula One, the rookie who changed everything. In 2007, at the age of 22, Lewis Hamilton made his Formula One debut with McLaren. He became the first black driver in Formula One history. The pressure was immense. The expectations were enormous. Everyone was watching. Most rookie drivers spend their first season learning, finishing mid-pack, hoping for a few points. But Lewis Hamilton was not most rookies. In his very first race, the Australian Grand Prix, Lewis finished third on the podium. The racing world was stunned. In his second race, Malaysia, he finished second. In his third race, Bahrain, he finished second again. By the middle of his rookie season, Lewis Hamilton was leading the World Championship. He was beating his teammate, 2-time world champion Fernando Alonso. He was racing wheel to wheel with legends, and he was doing it with a smile. The 2007 season became one of the most dramatic in Formula One history. Lewis was fighting for the championship against Fernando Alonso and Ferrari's Kimi Räikkönen. It all came down to the final race in Brazil. Lewis needed to finish in the top 5 to become world champion in his rookie year, something that had never been done before. But during the race, disaster struck. His car developed a mechanical problem. He dropped down the field. His dream was slipping away. In the end, Lewis finished 7th. Kimi Räikkönen won the championship by 1 point. Lewis had lost. He was devastated. But he had also achieved something incredible. He finished 2nd in the World Championship in his rookie season. No one had ever done that before. The racing world knew Lewis Hamilton was going to be a legend. 2008. The moment that changed everything. Lewis came back in 2008 hungry, determined, and ready. This time, nothing would stop him. He won races in Australia, Monaco, Britain, and Germany. He battled all season with Ferrari's Felipe Massa, trading wins and points. Once again, it all came down to the final race of the season in Brazil. Lewis needed to finish 5th or higher to become world champion. Felipe Massa needed to win and hope Lewis finished 6th or lower. The race was chaos. Rain poured down. The track was slippery. Lewis was struggling. With just a few laps remaining, he was in 6th place. If the race ended like this, Felipe Massa would be world champion. On the final lap, Felipe Massa crossed the finish line and won the race. His Ferrari team erupted in celebration. His family screamed with joy. For a few brief seconds, they thought they had won the championship. But on the track, Lewis Hamilton was in a desperate battle with Toyota's Timo Glock for 5th place. Glock was on dry tires in wet conditions. His car was sliding everywhere. And on the very last corner of the very last lap of the entire season, Lewis Hamilton passed Timo Glock and crossed the line in 5th place. He had done it. By 1 single point, Lewis Hamilton became the 2008 Formula One world champion, the youngest champion in history at that time, the first black world champion in Formula One history. When Lewis crossed the line, he screamed into the radio, "I can't believe it! I can't believe it! Thank you so much, guys!" His father, Anthony, was in the pit lane, tears streaming down his face. All the sacrifices, all the hard work, all the belief, it had all led to this moment. Lewis Hamilton had proven everyone wrong. The boy from the council estate, the kid who wasn't supposed to belong, had become world champion. The dynasty, 7 championships and counting. After 2008, Lewis won championships in 2014, 2015, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. 7 world championships in total, tying the legendary Michael Schumacher's record. He has won over 100 races, more than any driver in history. He has taken over 100 pole positions. He has stood on the podium more than 190 times. But Lewis's impact goes beyond statistics. When Lewis joined Mercedes in 2013, many people said he was making a mistake. McLaren was a top team. Mercedes was unproven. But Lewis saw potential. He saw a team willing to work hard, to innovate, to dream big. And together, they created the most dominant era in Formula One history. From 2014 to 2020, Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton won almost everything. They rewrote the record books. They dominated in a way the sport had never seen. But even as Lewis won, he never forgot where he came from. He never forgot the racism, the exclusion, the feeling of being unwanted. In 2020, after the murder of George Floyd, Lewis became the loudest voice in Formula One calling for change. He took a knee before every race. He wore shirts saying, "Arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor." He started the Hamilton Commission to improve diversity in motorsport. He used his platform to fight for equality, to speak for those who had no voice. And slowly, Formula One began to change. Teams started diversity programs. More young people from diverse backgrounds entered the sport. Conversations about equality became normal. Lewis Hamilton wasn't just winning races, he was changing the culture. But Lewis's journey was not all glory. In 2016, he had his greatest heartbreak. He was fighting his teammate Nico Rosberg for the championship. Lewis was faster, he won more races, but through a combination of mechanical failures and bad luck, Nico Rosberg won the championship by just 5 points.
It was devastating. Lewis had lost a championship he should have won. And then, immediately after winning, Nico Rosberg retired from racing. He had won his championship and walked away, leaving Lewis without his greatest rival. In 2021, Lewis faced his greatest challenge yet. He was fighting Max Verstappen for the championship in what became the most controversial season in Formula One history. Lewis and Max crashed together multiple times. The racing was aggressive, sometimes dangerous, always thrilling. They arrived at the final race in Abu Dhabi tied on points. Winner takes all. It was the most dramatic finale in Formula One history. Lewis dominated the race. With just a few laps remaining, he was cruising to victory, about to win his 8th world championship and become the most successful driver ever. And then, controversy struck. A safety car was deployed. The race director made a decision that broke the rules. Max Verstappen was given one final lap to overtake Lewis on fresh tires. On the last lap of the last race of the season, Max passed Lewis and won the championship. The racing world erupted in controversy. Many believed the championship was stolen from Lewis. Investigations were launched. The FIA admitted mistakes were made. Lewis was devastated. He disappeared from social media for months. Many thought he would retire. He had been robbed of his 8th championship. It was the cruelest loss imaginable. But Lewis came back. In 2022, even with an uncompetitive car, he kept fighting. In 2023, he kept pushing. And in 2024, he made a shocking announcement. He was leaving Mercedes and joining Ferrari for 2025. Ferrari, the most iconic team in Formula One, the team every driver dreams of racing for, and they had chosen Lewis Hamilton.